What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever episode of Sports Prodigies with your hosts. I'm Aidan, and we will be talking about the the upcoming NFL draft. We both made mocks. We're both going to talk about them. But first, we just want to say that this is the order that is right now with no trades. We're not going to put in any trades. And I'm going to get us started. The Cincinnati Bengals have the first pick in this draft. And I think that they need to take a quarterback, and I think it's a no-brainer, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow out of LSU had an outstanding season. He led his team to a national championship. He had 5,600 passing yards. He had 60 touchdowns, and I think it's one of the best college football seasons by a quarterback almost ever. So I think this is a no-brainer for the Bengals. It's a new start, new life in Cincinnati, and I think Burrow is going to go to the Bengals. What about you, Swoggle?
Joe Burrow is the clear-cut number one guy in this draft for the Bengals. They need a quarterback. They got their new head coach last year, Zach Taylor from the Rams. He's supposedly a great quarterbacks guy. Bring in Burrow. Hopefully those two work well together and they get their next quarterback of the future. I mean, obviously you said one of the best seasons I've ever seen out of a quarterback in college football. Got off the charts football IQ and intangibles. Got great field presence and poise. Bengals got their guy here in Burrow. With the second overall pick, I have the Washington Redskins taking Chase Young. In my opinion, he's the most talented player in this draft. Great junior year last season, 46 total tackles, 16 and a half sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and he missed 2 games due to suspension, not because of character issues, but because of NCAA recruiting rules that, all the bad rules that the NCAA has with recruiting and payments and stuff. But guy's a rare physical specimen with long chisel, pliable frame, loose fluid, agile, aggressive, and explosive, and just great stats to back him up. I mean, the guy's a tank. The Redskins get the best pass rusher in the draft by far.
Yeah, this guy's a beast. Couldn't be stopped in college. I don't know who's going to stop him in the NFL. The guy's on a warpath. I think he's the best player in this draft, like you said. I think the Redskins are getting the best player in this draft at Chase Young. So the third overall pick, the Detroit Lions, I think they're going to select the cornerback out of Ohio State, Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah had a very good junior season. He held opposing quarterbacks to a passer rating of 37.6%. He had 9 pass deflections, 3 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. The guy's the best corner in the draft, and I think that he will. I think that he will be very good in the NFL, and I compare him to a guy like Stephon Gilmore, like a Pro Bowl type player. What about you?
I have Okudah to the Lions too. 37, as you said, pass rating against. His mother passed away, and he plays for her, so something the teams can keep an eye on. He's got the height, weight, length, and speed that are all top shelf. He's got the size to guard big-bodied wide receivers, jump ball wide receivers, and he's got the speed for the deep threats. Good press cover. Lions get best cornerback in the draft. They just traded for Desmond Trufant. Those two can start opposite each other, and that's a solid cornerback tandem right there. With the fourth pick, I have the New York Giants selecting Tristan Wirfs, tackle from Iowa. Tristan Wirfs, in my opinion, is the best tackle in the draft class. 6'5", 320, big body, 4.85 40-yard dash. That's insane for being 6'5", 320. 36.5-inch vert. That's the new record at the combine. He's got elite body composition with lean mass and well-proportioned frame. He also was a state champ as a high school wrestler. Some people see him moving inside the guard, but I think he can play both, and I think the Giants get the guy to protect Daniel Jones.
I think the Giants, I think they're going to switch it up. I think they're going to go with the linebacker out of Clemson, Isaiah Simmons. He had a good season. He led that defense, 104 total tackles, 7 sacks, 3 interceptions. I think the Giants make this move because they usually look at they want the overall best player. I think they do need a lineman, but I also think they're not smart enough to get a lineman. I think they're going to go with the best player like they did a couple of years ago when they drafted Saquon Barkley. They needed a quarterback during that time. They passed on Sam Darnold. They got Saquon Barkley. He's one of the best running backs in the league, but they still have some QB problems. I don't know how Daniel Jones is going to do this season, but I think they're going to go with Isaiah Simmons because I think he's the second best player in this draft, and they look for best player, not most needed position.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants took Isaiah Simmons, but I think they need the tackle to
Yeah, I
protect
think they
Daniel
need
Jones.
it, but they just won't take it because they're the New York Giants. Okay, so my fifth pick was a coin toss. I have the Dolphins taking Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama. Tua had a rough season just because he had a big injury. He finished with 2,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I feel like he will. It's going to be a close one just because he has that hip injury. He has had ankle injuries in the past. I think he's going to scare some NFL teams. I don't know where he's going to go, but I think that he's the arguably the best quarterback in this draft. I think he's going to go 5 to the Dolphins.
Yeah, so I actually have Justin Herbert going here. I think the Dolphins go with a little bit of a safer play here with Tua's injuries. You know, he had the hip, he had the ankle, and Herbert, great size. He's pro ready, cannon of an arm. He's a little bit inaccurate at times, but he had a 66% completion rating last year, 32 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. I mean, that's a great touchdown to interception ratio. Full field reader, operates with pre-snap plan and recognizes matchup advantages. I think Justin Herbert is the future of the Dolphins, and they get the safer QB here.
Yeah, so that pretty much takes me into the sixth pick. I pretty much everything you just said I agree with. I have at 6 Herbert. So who do you have at 6?
Yeah, I have Tua at 6. It's kind of crazy that 2 years ago the Chargers were one of the best teams in football, and last year they had like pretty much the same roster, and now they have the 6th pick in the draft, and Philip Rivers is in Indianapolis. But they get Tua Tagovailoa here, who, if he's healthy, he can probably be one of the best quarterbacks in the draft, if not the best. I mean, the guy played in big games his whole career. Great dual threat NFL type quarterback, active, agile feet. So the Chargers get their guy here.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you a lot on that. It's sad that Philip Rivers is gone, but I think they made the right move by getting rid of him because they want to bring in one of these quarterbacks, and I think that either one will make an impact.
Yeah, it was kind of like I think they were both done with each other. I don't think Rivers wanted to be there anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so the 7th pick belongs to the Panthers. I have them taking Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. Derek Brown had a pretty good senior season. 55 total tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He is an elite combination of size, strength, and big man athleticism, and I think he can really help that Panthers defensive line, and I think he can make an impact starting in the first game. I think he's that type of player. What about you?
Yeah, so I have the Panthers selecting Isaiah Simmons. This guy, like you said before, is probably one of the top 3 players in this draft class, but due to teams needing quarterbacks, he falls to 7 to the Panthers, and they'd be glad to take him. The guy is one of the most versatile players in the draft class. He's played in the slot, he's played in the nickel, he's played linebacker, and he's played safety. He comes in and replaces the recently retired Luke Kuechly. Had a great junior season, 104 total tackles, 7 sacks, and 3 interceptions. Explosive run and jump athlete. He allows his defensive coordinators to have some fun packages with his versatility. So I think the Panthers get the replacement for Kuechly here.
Yeah, and what I was saying earlier, I think this Panthers pick is gonna it's gonna be chosen by who the Giants take. I think if the Giants take Wirfs, then the Panthers will take Simmons, and I think if the Giants take Simmons, then the Panthers are going to take Brown.
Yeah. So with the 8th pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. Another big body, 6'5", 320, great 40 time, 5.05, big, wide, and extremely athletic. Plays with loose hips and fluid, twitchy feet. Cardinals just traded for DeAndre Hopkins, got 2nd year Kyler Murray, and now they get the offensive tackle to protect them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think though that they're gonna take a different lineman. I think they're gonna take who you said earlier, Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. I think he is the best tackle in this draft, and I think that he'll be a huge help to Kyler because he'll give Kyler more time. He'll clear holes for Kenyon Drake, and it'll give Kyler, like I said, more time to feed his guys like Larry Fitz, Christian Kirk, and obviously the newly acquired DeAndre Hopkins. I personally think the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if Wirfs is still there, then he's the pick. But I think he goes to the Giants.
Okay. With the ninth pick, I have CeeDee Lamb going to the Jaguars. CeeDee Lamb had a very good junior season. He had 62 receptions, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. He ran a 4.5 at the 40. He's a big play talent on all three levels of the field, and he can wreak havoc on any team. I think the Jaguars are going to be very excited that they could get CeeDee Lamb because he will help Gardner Minshew, and I feel like there'll be more options than just DJ Chark down there. So I think this would be a good pick for the Jaguars to take a wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I actually have the Jaguars taking Derek Brown here. They just lost Calais Campbell to the Ravens. Marcel Darius they cut, and Yannick Ngakoue sounds like he don't want to be there, so he's probably going to get traded. Derek Brown will come in and fill right in for those guys. I think this wide receiver class is really deep, and the Jaguars do not need to take a receiver here. They can get an impact receiver in the second, third, fourth, and maybe even the fifth round in this class. So I think they get Derek Brown, who had solid senior season, great size, great strength, great athlete, able to play up and down the field. I think the Jaguars take Derek Brown to go for their line here.
Okay, I got a question. So I know they just franchise tagged Ningwake, if that's how you say his name.
Ngakoue,
If they trade him, if they don't trade him before the draft, do you think that will change anything personally by who they draft? Because I personally think he's not going to leave. I think he's going to stay. They did franchise tag him. So I think that if they still have him, they wouldn't go for a guy like Derek Brown, but I also think he would be taken off the board by this team.
I do not. I think he's made it clear he does not want to be there. And it sounds like the Jaguars might trade him, but even if they don't trade him, I do not think he reports to training camp. He sounds like he wants no part of Jacksonville.
Okay. So who do you got at 10?
With the 10th pick, I have Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Another big guy, 6'5", 315, ran a 5.22. He's got the ability to play either tackle spot, fierce competitor. He also, in his pre-draft meeting with the Browns told him that he's got all the intangibles they look for. He said he would love to block for Baker. Just sounds like a perfect marriage for the Browns and Andrew Thomas here. He goes on the other side of the recently signed Jack Conklin, and they're building a solid offensive line there to protect their offense.
Yeah, I definitely think the Browns need to help out that offensive line. I don't think they could get much better with their wide receivers, with Odell and Jarvis. They just recently signed Austin Hooper from Atlanta. They got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield. They got Baker under center. I think they're going to take Mekhi Becton out of Louisville just because this guy's a unit. This guy is 6'8", 360 pounds. He can also move. He ran a 5.1 at the 40. He is the biggest guy, I think, in this draft. I think he can make a huge impact with the Browns, and I think he will make a big impact from the start of the season to the end.
Yep.
Okay, with the 11th pick, I have Jedrick Wills to the Jets. I think Jedrick Wills, he's from Alabama. He'll make a good impact. I think they need to help Sam Darnold. I feel like they need to help Le'Veon Bell. 6'5", 320 pounds. He ran a 5.05 during the 40, and I think he'd be a big help for the Jets.
Yeah, I have the Jets taking Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. You just had him a pick before. He reminds me of Orlando Brown Jr., who's for the Ravens, but with the athleticism. He's 6'8", 360. Orlando Brown 6'7", around 350. Both mammoth beings, but the difference is Becton ran a 5.1 at the combine, and Orlando Brown ran a 5.85 at the combine. He's got booming upper body power, potential to mash what's in front of him. He's just a mammoth of a human being. I think he clogs wherever they plug and play him. So I think the Jets, they could go receiver here. But I think they take Becton here to protect Sam Darnold. And, yeah.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
With the 12th pick, I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama. Coming into this draft, most people saw this guy as a top 5 pick. He didn't really do anything to warrant his drop, but just other guys moving up and team needs have dropped him down to around the 10 to 15 range, and the Raiders land him here at 12. Great junior season stats in a loaded wide receiver room with 77 receptions, 1,163 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. Solid speed at 4.45. One of the best route runners I've ever seen coming out of college. Pro-style route combinations, early accelerations that looks from snap to snap. So I think the Raiders get their wide receiver here to pair with Derek Carr or whoever quarterback they go forward with.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr needs a lot of help. I think they definitely go with Jerry Jeudy here. Like you said, this wide receiver class is really good, and I think CeeDee Lamb will be taken before Jerry Jeudy. So that's why I have Jerry Jeudy going at 12. Like you said, he had a great junior season. He scored 24 touchdowns over his last 28 games, so he knows how to score. I feel like he's a great player to draft, and I feel like he'll be a great player in the NFL. I personally compare him to Amari Cooper with his route running, and I think that he'll be a huge impact for the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, so the 13th pick, I have the 49ers taking Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina.
Yep.
They just lost DeForest Buckner. They just traded him to the Colts. He had a pretty good senior season. He had 6 sacks, 35 total tackles. He's a great guy to have up front with that, with already that stellar defensive line with Nick Bosa. I think he can do a lot of damage, and I think that he can help them out a lot.
Yeah, I think Kinlaw might fall a little bit in this draft. His stats are like all over the place. They're not that good. He's very inconsistent, but I still think he'll be a first round pick. But I actually have CeeDee Lamb here to the 49ers. The guy 4.5 40, a little bit slow for his. He's kind of like he's like 6'1", but very like skinny, so could be a problem. But I think the guy's got big play talent on all 3 levels of the field. Average 21.4 yards per catch. So I think the Niners get their wide receiver here to pair with Jimmy G. Opposite.
Yeah, but the problem with that pick, Swoggle, is that you've seen it in the playoffs. In the end of the day, they're just going to run the ball. You saw Rasheem Mostert, their workhorse. How many touchdowns did he score in the semifinal game? 4 against the Packers?
Yeah, but then you add in a dynamic playmaker like this, and that offense can go to a whole different level. Because we all know, we've all seen Jimmy G throw the football accurately and good. You got George Kittle, the tight end. You got the solid 3 running backs you got there. And now you have CeeDee Lamb opposite Deebo Samuel. That offense sounds scary to me.
Yeah, I understand. And I feel like they use Deebo Samuel in like a different way. So you could definitely look at if you take CeeDee Lamb there as a good pick. But I just don't know if they're fully going to like change their ways from the huge running game that they produced in the playoffs. But I definitely understand where you're coming from because I don't really know much receivers past Deebo Samuel on that team.
Yeah. So with the 14th pick, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Josh Jones. The guy is 6'7", 310 pounds. So right off the bat, you can tell he's athletic. He's got a long frame, but he's got the potential to add more weight. I think he can add at least 30 pounds, be around 6'7", 340. They get the offensive lineman to protect Tom Brady. He's a plus athlete. Tom Brady, he's going to love playing behind this guy. And I think he's a good fit for the Bucs.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to go offensive line with this pick. I think they're actually going to go with Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. The 6'5" junior, he's 315 pounds. He's very he has the ability to play either tackle or spot. I think he can help out Tom Brady a lot. I think that there's no like very good running back in this draft because I feel like they're kind of struggling with running backs. Like I think who are they starting? Ronald Jones down there?
Ronald Jones or Peyton Barber. They split carries last year. You would have to think Ronald Jones goes into the season as a starter, but
Yeah, and then they're obviously stacked with their wide receivers, obviously Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So I think they're going to help Tom Brady get more time, and then he can find those two wide
Yeah.
receivers. So I definitely agree with the offensive line pick.
Yeah.
With the 15th pick, I have the Broncos taking Henry Ruggs III. So when I watch this guy, I picture Tyreek Hill. He's fast. He ran a 4.27 40. That was slower than he actually predicted he was going to run. He was saying how he was going to beat John Ross's record of 4.22, and he came 0.05 seconds short. He was upset about that, but even though at Alabama he was behind Jerry Jeudy, he still had 40 receptions, 746 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think he is a speedster. He can help out the Broncos a lot. He can be an easy weapon for Drew Lock, and I think that this is the pick they're going to go with.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think Henry Ruggs to the Broncos is a great pick. I like the Tyreek Hill comparison, except that Henry Ruggs is even more polished coming out of college than Tyreek Hill was. I think Henry Ruggs is a speedster. They got Cortland Sutton on the other side, who's the more of the jump ball type wide receiver. You got Noah Fant, the tight end. You've got Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay, the running backs. So now you've got the two.
And Melvin
Gordon.
I
forgot. They just signed Melvin Gordon, too. So now you've got the two solid wide receivers, the young tight end, and solid running backs to go along with the second-year quarterback. I think the Broncos could be a sneaky team for years to come.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
Yeah. With the 16th pick, I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting C.J. Henderson. They just lost Desmond Trufant. C.J. Henderson, in my opinion, is the top cornerback in this draft. Good size and premium athleticism. Agile. Fast. Strong. Good press cover. So I think, he's not the best cornerback, and second best behind Okudah, but I think the Falcons take the replacement for Trufant here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're also going to take C.J. Henderson. He had a pretty good junior season, 33 total tackles, 11 pass deflections. Like you said, he is the second best cornerback in this draft, and I think the Falcons definitely need to work on their defense. I think their offense is pretty stellar, so I think defense is going to be this pick, and I think C.J. Henderson is the perfect answer. Okay, coming up to my Cowboys with the 17th pick, I have them taking Cleavon Chazen out of LSU, the defensive end. Even though the Cowboys have been stacking up on their defensive line by signing Donateri Poe, Gerald McCoy, they obviously have Tank Lawrence on one side. They may get Randy Gregory back. They just signed Aldon Smith. So they're showing a lot of work in the offseason, but I still think that this pick would be a great pick for the Cowboys. He had a very good sophomore season. He had 60 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I think he could be a big help because those guys that they just signed, they're all pretty old, and I think that this guy could come in with new blood and help the Cowboys a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think Cleavon Chazen is the pick for the Cowboys. He's more of a outside linebacker than defensive lineman. Great athlete, great sophomore, redshirt sophomore year, 6.5 sacks. Good lower body thickness for a longer frame that he has. Very quick laterally and up the field off snap. I think Chazen to the Cowboys is a great fit. With the 18th pick, the Dolphins select Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama. This guy, 95 total tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions junior season. He's a little bit undersized. He kind of reminds me of Earl Thomas a little bit. Got high football IQ, on-field toughness, good tackler, versatility to match up with multiple positions, tight end, running back, wide receiver. I think the Dolphins get their safety to pair up with their dynamic cornerback duo they got, and the recently acquired Byron Jones and Xavier Howard.
Okay, I think they go a totally different route with this one. I understand their defense has been lacking since they lost Micah Hyde, but if they do take Herbert or Tua, they definitely need protection. They got rid of Laramie Tunsil. They need protection. I think with their second pick in the first round, they're going to be taking Joshua Jones out of Houston. Like you said earlier, he's 6'7", 310. He has a long frame, has room for additional mass. I think he could be a big help, and he could protect, especially I think Tua. He's going to need protection because I think if one of these guys comes around the edge and hits him hard enough, he'll re-injure an ankle or obviously his hip. So I think it's big needs that the Dolphins need to get an offensive lineman if they're thinking about drafting a quarterback earlier.
Yeah. There's all the offensive linemen are off the board other than USC's Austin Jackson, and I just think they're still in the development stages of their team, and they get their field general here.
Okay. With the 19th pick, I have the Raiders taking Christian Fulton. I think that Christian Fulton's pretty good. He had 38 total tackles, 1 interception, 14 pass deflections. I think he can help the Raiders defense a lot. I feel like the Raiders defense definitely needs some help. They weren't that great this season, so I think by taking Christian Fulton out of LSU, it would be a big help for them.
Yeah, I can see them taking them. But here I actually have the Raiders taking safety Jeremy Chin. He's out of Southern Illinois, FBS or FCS program. Not many people know who he is. But this guy lit up the combine, ran a 4.45, 20 bench reps, 41-inch vertical. The guy has had like 12 career interceptions at Southern Illinois. He's built like a linebacker, but plays like a safety. I think he plugs in right there at the back end of their defense.
What's called with that pick though? Like, obviously, we know the Raiders aren't afraid to take guys that like aren't in the spotlight. Last year, they took Salim Farrell. Not many people thought he was going to be taken at 4, but they still took him at 4 because they believed in him. I don't really know. I'm not a Raiders fan. I don't know really how good he did. But I could see it, but I definitely think they need to help their defense out. I understand it's a safety, but I feel like they would want somebody that is like more known, like a guy out of LSU. But either way, I think it works. I think we have the right mindset with defense. I just think that they would go a different way with that.
With the 20th pick, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars getting their new QB, Jordan Love out of Utah State. Coming into the season, he was surefire first-round pick. He had an underwhelming season, not a great completion percentage, bad touchdown-interception ratio. But you can chalk that up maybe to his top 4 receivers from the previous season all graduated or transferred. So he really had no help there. But he's tall in the pocket and smooth, natural throw of the football, got a cannon for an arm. He's dual threat, kind of plays like Mahomes. I think the Jaguars go Love here. Maybe you start Minshew to start the season and bring Love along a little bit, but I think Love's is the guy here for the Jaguars.
I'm assuming you're not comparing him to Mahomes. I know you said something about Mahomes, but like obviously,
I just think like his playing style, both of them coming out of college, they both played the same.
Okay, yeah. I have the same. I have Jordan Love out of Utah State. To the Jaguars, I feel like I said earlier, I think they're going to take CeeDee Lamb with their first pick. So I feel like they would get a guy to back up Gardner Minshew because look what happened last season. They came in with Nick Foles. They gave him a big contract. He got injured in the first week, and they had to go with Gardner Minshew. I don't know how proven Gardner is. I think he did pretty decent. But I feel like they definitely need somebody because if it goes south with Gardner, they have a backup and a proven backup in college like Jordan Love. So I think that would be a great pick.
Yeah.
With the 21st pick, I have the Eagles taking Justin Jefferson, wide receiver at LSU. He wasn't the number 1 guy. I feel like Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow liked a little bit more. He had Justin Jefferson, though, had a great season. 111 receptions, 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. He has good initial burst off the snap, and I feel like he'd be a great wide receiver in the NFL. The only thing is that there's other wide receivers like Ruggs and their CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. So, like, the only thing is that this guy's going to drop to the Eagles, but I think he'll be a great help for the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think Justin Jefferson is the pick to the Eagles. He's actually my favorite wide receiver in this draft class. Not saying he's the best, but, I mean, monster junior season in a stacked offense, 1,500 yards. Come on, 18 touchdowns. He ran a 4.43 at the combine. A lot of people thought it'd be a little slower. He surprised people there. He's still not that, like, still not that big of a deep threat. He's more of the short, intermediate slot guy. But I think him and the Eagles are a perfect marriage here. And, I think the Justin Jefferson of the Eagles is a great pick. With the 22nd pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Christian Fulton, cornerback out of LSU. He's well built as an outside cornerback, allowed only a 40% completion rate since 2018, so that's multiple years of success. Solid athleticism, can extend mirror match of release. So I think Fulton to the Vikings, they just lost Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes, so I think they get their new corner here.
Okay, I think they go a different way with this pick. Vikings obviously just lost Stephon Diggs. They do still have Adam Thielen, but I think they're going to take Denzel Mims out of Baylor. 66 receptions. He had 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's an above-average combination of size and speed. I think he could be the guy that replaces Diggs. Will definitely help out Kirk Cousins. I think they're just going to fill that spot with this pick. So I got the Vikings taking Mims. With the 23rd pick, I have the Patriots taking Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. He had a senior season, a very good senior season, 76 total tackles, 12 and a half sacks, one interception. He's twitchy and explosive. I feel like he could definitely be very good on this outstanding defense already, and I think Bond would be like the perfect pick for the Patriots.
I can see them taking Bond here, but I actually have them taking Patrick Queen. Queen is a fast, agile linebacker out of LSU. He's actually his first year starting last year, most improved player. Took him a little bit to get acclimated to the starting role, but after he got acclimated, the guy was a monster for them. He had big games against the big opponents, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Clemson. Great at dissecting the play, ability to go sideline to sideline, stop the run, stop the pass. I think the Patriots get Patrick Queen here. With the 24th pick, I have the New Orleans Saints taking Kenneth Murray. Great tackler, 102 tackles last season, 4 sacks, 4 pass deflections. He's got playmaking speed, sideline to sideline, just like Queen. These are the 2 and 3 linebackers in the draft. He moves like a safety in the open field, and the Saints are in desperate need of a linebacker, and they draft based on need here and get their guy.
I totally agree with you on that. Everything you said, I agree with. He's very decisive and willing to take chances, which could hurt him sometimes, but also definitely could help him. I think Kenneth Murray is a great pick. And that moves on to the 25th pick, the Vikings, their second pick in the first round. I have them taking Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State. His junior season was pretty good. He had 9.5 sacks, 40 total tackles, loose hips with short area athleticism of a linebacker, but is truly a defensive end. I think he can really help out the Vikings, and I think that this would be a great pick for them.
I have the Vikings taking wide receiver T. Higgins here out of Clemson. He had a great college career for Clemson. He's big, jump ball receiver, play on the outside. Ran a 4.5 at the combine. Creates mismatches on cornerbacks. He stands 6'4". You got Thielen in the slot, and I think you get Kirk Cousins some help out here after they traded Stephon Diggs to the Bills.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I just think they'll go earlier to get Mims. But if Mims is taken before that, I could see them waiting or even taking T. Higgins at that 22 spot.
With the 26th pick, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting Zach Bond, linebacker out of Wisconsin. Really, the Dolphins need pretty much every position, so they're just drafting on best player available here, and I think he's the best player available for them. Played in the Big Ten, dominated in the Big Ten, played at Wisconsin, 76 total tackles last season, 12.5 sacks, twitchy and very explosive, lateral side quickness. I think the Dolphins get one of the best pass rushers, outside linebackers in the class here, and they're ready to roll.
Okay, yeah. So this is the last Dolphins pick of the first round. I'm not sure if you said it earlier. Did you have Xavier McKinney out of Alabama?
Yeah, at 18.
Going to the Dolphins? Okay, yeah. So I have them waiting, and I have them getting him at 26. Like you said, you compared him to Earl Thomas. He's a little bit smaller, but he had a great season for Alabama. 95 total tackles, four forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions. And I think that he would be I think the Dolphins just wait on him here. I don't think anybody is going to take him between 19 and 24. So I think, and 25, I mean, so they could take him at 26.
If they don't take him at 18, the Raiders snatch him up at 19.
Okay. At 27, I have the Seahawks taking AJ Epineza. He had a good junior season, 11 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumbles as a defensive end, and 49 total tackles. Excellent size with desired combo of length and power. And I think that for the Seahawks, it's up in the air right now with Jadeveon Clowney. I don't really know what's going to happen with Jadeveon Clowney. I know Ross put out a thing like, please come home. I know that he talked with the Titans. I don't know what his price is right now, but if that's not settled before the draft, I think they go with AJ Epineza.
I can see them taking AJ Epineza here. I mean, he was supposed to be a top 10 pick coming into the draft, but I actually have them selecting Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State. Good junior season, their best pass rusher. He's got the prototypical combination of size, athleticism, and agility you look in a pass rusher. He posted 17 and a half sacks as a 2-year starter and 35 tackles for a loss in 2 years. Seahawks in need of pass rush if Clowney doesn't come back. They take Gross-Matos here. With the 28th pick, my Baltimore Ravens select Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor. Denzel Mims to me is the perfect fit for the Baltimore Ravens. Behind Justin Jefferson, I really like Mims in this draft. Great speed at the combine, shown jump ball ability in college, had a solid senior season, 66 receptions, 1,020 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. But the big thing for me here with the Ravens is he's probably the best run blocker in this draft, wide receiver wise. And the Ravens with their dynamic run game always want those blocking receivers, and they get that combination of great blocker but also a great pass catcher too here in Denzel Mims to play opposite Marquise Brown.
I personally think that your Ravens don't need any more help on that offense with Lamar. I think he can just run it by himself. Like, doesn't even need wide receivers out there. I know he can throw.
Why not make something already dominant and now you make it indefensible?
I know they've been working on their defense, but I think they go for linebacker Patrick Queen. You said it earlier. Like, I know it was his first season as a starter, but he had big flashes against Georgia, Oklahoma, and Clemson. And he came up in the clutch. Like, that's what a true player does. I feel he had 3 sacks, 85 total tackles. I feel like he could be a big help for the Ravens. I feel like I understand that Mims would be a good pick because obviously your wide receivers aren't like elite. But I feel like Queen would be a good pick here.
I can definitely see the Ravens can take an inside linebacker here, but again, I already have Queen and Murray off my board here, so they go towards Mims, the receiver. But if one of those linebackers are on the board, the Ravens will definitely consider taking one of them.
Okay. 29th pick, the Titans. They had a very weird ending to the season. They went with Tannehill halfway through, and Tannehill was balling out. Even though he didn't throw for much, they still have that workhorse, Derrick Henry. So I think they're going to work on the offense here. I think they're going to take T. Higgins out of Clemson. T. Higgins had a very good season at Clemson. He had a lot of I feel like he was a good wide receiver, and I feel like the Titans just need to bulk up on wide receivers. So I feel like T. Higgins
I have the Titans selecting AJ Epineza out of Iowa. Epineza coming into the draft, like I said before, was a top 10 pick. Has had 3 years of elite production at Iowa, but again, the teams for some reason like to take the combine into account, which I think the combine is a little overrated, and he had a bad combine, so the Titans take advantage of his bad combine and select him at 29. He's got excellent size, impressive production, as I said, and has all the tools that you want other than maybe speed.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like Titans, they look at just like the Ravens. I feel like they look at the combine as not you watch film and you watch them play in games, I feel like that has more say than the comic. So I definitely agree with you on that. Even though AJ Epineza did have a bad time line, I feel like the Titans would be more than happy
Yeah,
to get
for
him.
sure. With the 30th pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting Javon Kinlaw. Like I said before, I have Kinlaw falling in this draft. I think his production is very inconsistent. He's athletic, he's a bull rusher, but I just think his production at South Carolina was not great, and the Packers are in need of interior defensive linemen, so they take Kinlaw here at 30.
That's a huge drop. I understand we did different mocks, but 13 to 30, that's a huge drop for not having that great of a season. You really think that he'll
Yeah, I can
drop that
see it. I
much?
think from really past the 49ers, and there's really not that many teams that are in need of interior defensive linemen, and I just don't think teams value him as high. So really, if the 49ers don't select him at 13, I don't think they'll select him, but I think he drops all the way to 30.
Wow. My 30th pick, I have Ross Blackman, the defensive tackle from TCU. His junior season, he had 3.5 sacks, 40 total tackles. He's extremely athletic and agile in short spaces, and I feel like he would be a great help for that Packers defense. So I think that Ross Blacklock will be the great pick for the Packers. 31st pick, I have Cesar Ruiz, the center out of Michigan for the 49ers. Another big guy, 6'4", 320. I feel like he'll be a great center, and he can help out the Jimmy G and get him more time. So I feel like that would be a great pick for the 49ers. Obviously, their run game is outstanding, and if they have better offensive tackles and centers blocking for him, then it's just going to be a scary sight in San Fran.
Yeah,
So
I
I
agree
think they
with
go
you
with
here.
Cesar
Cesar
Ruiz.
Ruiz is the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. Plug and play starter. Just a great all around player. Goes right in there for the 49ers. They just drafted their wide receiver, and now they get their interior offensive lineman to protect the offense. With the 32nd pick, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Noah Igbenogany out of Auburn. So this guy was actually a wide receiver and converted to cornerback, so he's a little bit raw there. So it could take maybe a year to develop him, but he's got a great ceiling. His ceiling could be very high. He's very strong, very physical, and he's a very explosive athlete. He was a track runner as well. So other than him just converting the cornerback, I think the Chiefs get a cornerback here. They develop him for a year, and in a year from now, you see him as one of the better corners.
Okay, yeah. I definitely think they're going to go corner. They have to go defense on this pick. I feel like that offense is outstanding. I have them going with AJ Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. He had 34 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and half a sack. I think that the Chiefs just need to work on defense. With Mahomes under center, I
Yeah,
feel like the offense is going to be pretty good. So that's
just
how
my
I
thing with
finish out
Terrell is I think
the
he's more of
first
a
round.
mid second round pick in my opinion, and I think the Chiefs take the player with the higher ceiling here than the more safer option. But
Okay.
I can see them taking Terrell too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. We hope that you liked the video. Comment below what you think. Everybody like and subscribe, and we will be making more
Thank you.
videos soon. Thank you for listening, everybody.